When I start talking about Trump, I get too flustered in my head, and so sometimes I start talking and I'm not able to convey the message the right way because I just get flustered and frustrated. I don't know, man. I get really flustered when I talk about it.
What's going on, homie? How you doing, man?
How are you?
Dude, you look great in a garbage outfit, in a garbage vest. We have a ton of B-roll here, but could you give me like sort of a wrap-up of this day? It was an amazing day.
I thought it was a good day. I mean, every time Joe Biden speaks, thinks he's issuing some kind of insult, it's an opportunity, which makes you wonder what his actual motivations are, but we'll leave that for another day. The guy we rode around with, Leo, I mean, he's just a great dude, right? I mean, he was a patriot who loves the country. He's got 4 kids. He's working hard to make sure they have a better life. He's moved to North Carolina to be able to secure the best job he can get. And we asked him, I mean, you were sitting in the car when I asked him, how did it make you feel when Joe Biden said half of America who supports Donald Trump is garbage? And he said it was personally insulting, not just to him as a Trump supporter, but as a guy who actually carries out, I think, a noble profession. And somebody, and by the way, I think you and I both had an appreciation, I certainly did, for the fact that this is not easy work, complex machinery, and the guy was just a great dude. And so my favorite part of the night, actually, Benny, was when I brought him on stage up with us at the event itself, and just hearing the whole crowd chant Leo, Leo the whole night. That I thought was the best part of the event, because it was the opposite of Joe Biden, disrespecting and spitting in the face of the working man and the everyday American. Yes. We were able to do something more positive and a little different, which I thought was pretty cool.
So here's you actually bringing Leo up on stage, actually defending the working class and defending the people who build the country, who fight for the country, who, if the country goes to war, will be the ones having to stand at arms and head into the trenches. Last night, Donald Trump saying Liz Cheney would never dare do that. Now, this is something that is making all the rounds this morning. But effectively, all Donald Trump did last night with Tucker Carlson, and we'll pop the B-roll up here, but all Trump did last night with Tucker Carlson was say, Liz Cheney and Warhawks and neocons like her will never go fight in the wars. They view your sons and daughters as cannon fodder for their wars. And now the entire Democrat Party and the media ecosystem is uniting around the neocons and the Warhawks and against those people that actually fight wars in our country. I want to get your take on this.
Sure.
So here's what Trump had to say. Let's have a listen here.
And Cheney was he said, I really want to thank you. He said, now I'm so glad that I actually endorsed you. It's amazing, but that you would do this. And I didn't speak to him about it. But then, go a couple of years forward or go now. And I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual, very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. When the guns are trained on her face. They're all Warhawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
So this is what Trump said. I mean, we say this on the show every single day, that none of these people actually fight the wars that they start. I want to get your take on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trump is really stating a blunt fact, which is that you got incentives of people who sit there, many of whom directly or indirectly make money off of their contracts or other companies from going to war, but who don't actually face the consequences of those same wars, which is their sons and daughters or themselves dying on the front lines. You're even entering the lexicon right now, the possibility of sending American troops to Ukraine. That idea has been introduced in recent weeks as well. This is what we were told a year and a half ago was an impossibility. And so I think President Trump, the irony is, he's part of the Republican Party, the leader of the Republican Party, no doubt about it. Yet the Republican Party before Donald Trump was the party that in many ways was pushing for a lot of these no-win, endless foreign wars. And the beautiful thing is now you've seen other Democrats come along to say that, yes, we're also in favor of the party of peace. That's just now the Republican Party. And in the other direction, you see a migration of Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney. In some ways, it's actually making sense, Benny. So some people are saying, well, what's going on? Republicans and Democrats, the lines don't matter anymore. It's just a realignment. Actually, the people who are pro-war are migrating to the Democratic Party, and the people who are pro-peace and pro-prosperity without going to war are migrating to the Republican Party. It's because of Donald Trump's leadership, and frankly, I think it's starting to make a lot of sense.
The one thing that doesn't make sense to me, Vivek, is that people who made their careers off of hating on the Cheneys like Eminem, who I know you're a fan of. We've all seen you rap Eminem.
Of the real Eminem, not
Yes.
the thing that's parading around as Eminem at Marshall Mathers today. Yeah.
So I want to just, as you know, we all watched this clip. It's a great clip of you rapping "Lose Yourself." 2 questions on this. 1, Barack Obama swaggerjacked you and rapped "Lose Yourself" at a rally for Kamala Harris with Eminem. I want to get your take on that. Firstly, because he actually stole your set. He stole your set here.
I think it's a very generous interpretation, Benny. I don't think that he stole much of anything, because I don't think to say he rapped it was, I think, an overstatement. He might have issued some sort of like Shakespearean sonnet rendition imitation or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what he was going for, but it was rather embarrassing to watch. And I would love competitors. Okay, I would love competitors, but Barack Obama ain't one of them. I'm just going to tell you that. Watch those videos side by side, and I'll let the audience be the judge of who actually could pull that off.
Eminem made his career off of dissing Dick Cheney. And now Eminem is advocating to get Dick Cheney back in office and his daughter.
So it's insane, actually. So one of my favorite. So it's funny you brought this up. So Barack Obama, he was going off of "Lose Yourself." That's the set that I did at the Iowa State Fair last year. But actually, one of my favorite Eminem songs is "Without Me," and he literally addresses in that song Ms. Cheney. He said, "Ms. Cheney, I know you got a job already, but your husband's heart problem's complicating." And then he goes on and said the same song. I'm not kidding. It's the same song. The FCC won't let me be me. They won't let me go on MTV. So that's the Eminem who was anti-censorship, against 3-letter administrative state agencies in the bureaucracy, against Dick Cheney and Ms. Cheney, as he called it out, for going into wars. And yet here he is now endorsing the candidate who, as the Cheneys have joined, the pro-censorship party, the pro-bureaucracy party that wants the FCC to go around censoring people. Like it's just a change of such remarkable order that you'd say it's maybe the same flesh, as in the same biological human being, but it's a hollowed out husk of what's left inside. I think my question for him is, will the real Slim Shady please stand up, right? That's really what's left. And the guy standing up there might be called Marshall Mathers, but it isn't really the Eminem that we knew from when you and I were growing up, who was the guy who wanted to stick it to the system, the guy who wanted free speech, the guy who refused to be silenced by the establishment, has now joined the establishment that actually wants to do that very silencing, with Dick Cheney, the guy he used to diss on, right by his side, and Ms. Cheney, who he referred to. He said, I know you have a job already. That job is going to be Secretary of Defense if Kamala Harris takes the presidency, to bring it full circle to fight those wars that he was supposedly against. It doesn't make any sense. And so I hope the real Eminem, the real Slim Shady, does stand up, but that ain't the guy you got on the screen right there.
Vivek, you're cooking, man. We do have a photo leaked to us of Eminem's new album here. Here you go. He got Eminem has Liz Cheney. Eminem is betraying his fan. It does seem like a betrayal. Just a quick comment on Joe Rogan and Donald.
Only Houdini could have pulled off that type of magic. I'll just leave it at that. For people who don't know, that's his latest album.
Joe Rogan saying that being a Republican is the party being an actual rebel, being actually against the system now, in his interview with Donald Trump.
I mean, that strikes me as, Joe's right, but it also is just, with due respect to Joe, it's obvious. And so what I love about Joe is sometimes he's able to say the obvious and it's still controversial, but it takes somebody to actually step up and say it. But obviously, being a Republican right now, especially in our generation or in Gen Z, is the rebellious thing to do. I was in Westchester, Pennsylvania yesterday on a college campus. I'm not kidding, Benny. We're sitting outdoors. There are, bar none, thousands of people who show up. We're sitting in a little booth. It's like the equivalent of this table I'm sitting in front of to have conversations with students. There's thousands of people gathered just to listen to those one-on-one conversations we're having, because they're sick and tired of being told to shut up, sit down, and do as they're told. There was a Kamala Harris voter. I think my favorite interaction yesterday was, she's a black woman. She's going to law school. She's a Kamala Harris voter, and she told me I couldn't change her mind. But she came up and she said that she couldn't get ahead in this country because of the effects of systemic racism. And she said, there's a lot of people here wearing MAGA hats. I told her, I've worked in finance in New York City. I have a law degree. I could tell you that at a law firm or wherever she might want to work, there would be more discrimination against any one of those people wearing a red MAGA hat than there would be against somebody having black skin. And that opened up, I think, a real conversation of a kind we hadn't had on college campuses 3, 4, 5 years ago. So, I think the rebellious thing to do is to call yourself a conservative, say you want to get married, have kids, pledge allegiance to that flag behind you right there without apologizing for it. That is rebellious today. And I think no matter what they've tried to do, the counterculture now is coming back with a positive vengeance. And, I think that in about 3 days now, I think we're about to see what that has in store for the country.
Yeah, man. Never meet your heroes. It's so sad to see how washed up Eminem has become. You're an Eminem fan. Maybe in closing here, what's your message to the real Slim Shady? Like, what's your message to Eminem about what's actually going on in the country?
I think what's going on is you became as a challenger to the establishment. You joined the establishment, but don't worry, there's still time. He's not an old man yet. I still have confidence, right? The real Slim Shady can stand up. You can actually get that rebel to show up again. He's just kind of going through a phase. I watched him even perform at the Super Bowl because my Bengals were there a couple of years ago in LA, kneeling down in favor of Black Lives Matter and BLM. Nobody believes that. It's not credible. It's not something that's authentic. Just be yourself and the actual rebel to the system. And this time around, listen to the song Without Me. You should play it later on the show. The lyrics of that song effectively make the case for Donald Trump, actually. Like if that were played today, if it's Without Me, the person who would not be censored, not shut up by the FCC or three-letter agencies, the person who wouldn't be taken into random wars by the Cheney family, including Ms. Cheney, which now would apply to Liz Cheney, who he addressed directly. That would be a pro-Trump song today if that came out in the year 2024. And so just look at it through that lens. And in some ways, I think we got to be charitable and provide space, because I'll criticize where it's necessary, and I give my criticism of Eminem. But I think one of the things we're seeing Donald Trump and our movement do a better job of this year is to say that we're going to open our movement to anybody who has a change of heart and finds themselves again, to say that we will always have a place for you. And we've accepted several of those Democrats coming our way this time around. And you know what? If Marshall Mathers is one of them, welcome back the real Slim Shady. We'll take him.
There you go. Hey, man. I mean, I still think this is just me. I still think it's the Diddy tapes. I think a lot of people are scared, and a lot of people are being pushed into endorsements they don't want to do. You can look as far as Usher. However, Donald Trump's winning the rap endorsement game, man. Donald Trump's absolutely winning the rap endorsement game. I think there's been hundreds of rappers.
He's spitting the lyrics from the stage. That's what he's doing, right?
That's right.
He's not quite rapping them, but he's the guy who's actually unconstrained with his own lyrics, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It ain't on the teleprompter, I'll tell you that.
Yes,
so when he goes off the teleprompter, that's when he's pulling out the real lyrics, and that's my favorite Donald Trump.
Final question, Vivek. I know you're a young man. I know you're just getting started in your career. Would you rap battle Obama? Because it seems like he was.
I mean, I would, but I think that I would prefer at least somebody who could level as a peer. All right, I would do it. I would do it once to prove the point, and then after that, don't make me do it again. That's all I would say. Yeah.
You gotta. We'll play the raps back to back. We'll play them back to back. Vivek, so awesome, man. Such great energy. We're gonna finish the race strong. Everybody follow Vivek. Nearly 3 million people on X follow Vivek. Obviously, you know him. One of the best out there. Final message as we power through the tape here, Vivek.
Yeah, look, I really think November 5th is not some destination. That's a trap we can fall into. It's the start line, and we got to define what we're standing for. You and I we never actually talked about my new book. I had a new book called Truths that came out last month, but I wanted to lay out, this is just the beginning, right? We're going to say make America great again now because we need to. 4 years from now, we're not going to be saying make America great again. Okay, we're just going to say make America greater because Donald Trump will have done the first part. And so I want people to think long term. It's not just the next 4 days or the next 4 months until he takes office, or even the next 4 years. He's going to do his part. But after that, we're just going to be making America greater for the next 250 years like we always have. And I'm pumped for not just the near term, man. November 5th is the starting line, and I'm excited to get there. And that's why I wrote this book, but it's also going to be one of my areas of focus as we hopefully take power in January, is not just thinking for the short run, but thinking for the long run of actually reviving our country.
Yes, that's right. So that you don't have to be 50-year-old rapper, made your bones off of dissing the Cheneys and then siding with them to put them back in power. That's just humiliating.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. Don't make that your career. Have
the
virtues.
OG Eminem would be with us on America.
That's right. That's exact. Slim Shady is spinning in his grave. Yeah. Thank you, Vivek. This is so awesome. There's the cover of the book, Truths. You can find it on Amazon. We'll put the link in the description. God bless you, Vivek. We're going to win, buddy.
Yeah, we will. Thank you, man.
See ya.